So guys, when I uploaded my video on Friday, I believe it was, things that I need to see in the next Superman trailer, for the official trailer, one that is beyond what we've got already, I didn't expect to be getting another, well, it's not really a trailer, but a TV spot coming so soon. And that's what we've got to start off today's video on. We're going to go over some other news, of course, some very interesting Lanterns casting, some Supergirl tidbits, but of course, we're going to start off on the Superman Icon TV spot, which has got a lot of conversation flowing. The kind of conversation which I am perfectly down for, but unfortunately, it kind of incites the somewhat tribalistic discourse that leads into arguments, belittling, kind of condescending. You get what I mean over the internet. It's already drained me seeing some of the stuff out there. I wish people could just like talk to each other, being like, oh yeah, I think this shot is awesome, and not be like belittled for having that opinion. But also, if somebody doesn't like it, they can be like, oh, you know, I can see why you may think that, and why you don't dig this shot in the framing of the way Superman is flying. But we're going to get into that. But I'm going to try and keep it positive, or at least as I try and strive to do on this channel, be as level-headed as I can, trying to take in both sides, those who are praising it, those who aren't truly a fan of it. Where do I lie? This is real before anyone says that it isn't real. Yes, this has been uploaded by the official DC channel, but I think I put this out there, this little message, because I've had some people commenting saying that IMAX exclusive version of the teaser trailer with those 2 additional shots, people were saying that's fake. It's clearly AI with Lex the engineer and Ultraman walking into the fortress and the shot of Mr. Terrific standing up and whatnot. It's not fake. It's really not fake. And lo and behold, to those people saying that it was fake, oh look, in this TV spot that is officially on the DC channel, Lex is wearing the exact same sunglasses, the exact same kind of warm cover-ups in the coat as he was entering the Fortress of Solitude alongside Ultraman and the Engineer. And we can narratively make this make sense. I know it's not the wisest thing to do to connect different scenes from different trailers and TV spots, but obviously it will lead right into that shot of the IMAX version of the teaser trailer where he's got the exact same wardrobe. But what I love about this shot, even though it's so brief, is just the energy that's exuding from Nicholas Holt's Luthor. I know when I get descriptive like this, people think I'm being quite hyperbolic, but I really do just get that excited about little glimpses. You know, he's just kind of like walking down, like obviously he's got Superman handled in some way, shape, or form. I know a lot of you corrected my theory that I have to admit I did noob out on at one point. When we see Clark at the fortress holding, you know, the fortress robot, of whom many to believe to be called Kellex, but, you know, it can just be a fortress robot like an all-star Superman. He's still got a bit of that burned suit that we saw in the trailer, and where he's walking away from the people who are throwing stuff at him. This is likely, you know, just with some logic, after the kaiju fight, because, you know, the kaiju is like bursting out flames at him, and his suit probably gets scarred up a bit and blackened a bit with the flames. So it is reasonable to say that maybe Lex has the opportunity to go to the Arctic and enter the fortress with Ultraman here, and the Engineer who's probably behind them somewhere in the shuttle, but just the scene gets cut off before we see her. Because Clark is super busy, but he will find out and he'll arrive as soon as he can, but he'll arrive to, well, a bit of a rude awakening with some damage to the fortress most likely, and his beloved robot, because he looks very devastated in that shot. Back to Lex. As he's walking down, I love how he's just like, yeah, I've got this handled. He's walking down. There's not really much fear there. I guess, you know, that's easy to say for a man who's got a guy who can rugby tackle Superman and cause him to pull this face in that Lord Tech Stadium. And then the Engineer, of whom we know is in this location as well, and possibly Eve Teschmacher. But yeah, I love the confidence. It makes me more excited to see what I mentioned in Friday's video, the things that I need to see in the next official trailer. It makes me excited to see more energy from Holt's Luthor. But the next news shot is what's causing all of the, oh my god, discourse online. And I have to say, and I know I'm going to be called like a shill for this. I really am. But, you know, I would love for you to hear me out if you're one of those people who are just going to like write me off like that. It is cool. But I do see why people are having, like, some issues with it, or there's this kind of, like, feeling where they're like, hey, yeah, this doesn't look, like, fully right, and some people can't even put a finger on it. Like, they can't pin the tail on the donkey as to what it is. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about now. So let me first say, like, candidly here, I think this is being blown out of proportion. I really, really do. Like, you guys should know me. I am the first person to jump out on calling out, like, CGI faces and stuff like that. Do you remember me and my coverage, the news roundups with the Flash movie? And I was calling out, like, the CGI, like, faces they were putting on the stand-in actor for Barry Allen, because you had, like, obviously Ezra Miller there. You had another guy, a stand-in, in the exact same clothes, and they would put Ezra's face onto him. And I was like, it looks like freaking Play-Doh. How does nobody see this? And I would get a lot of backlash on that. But obviously, that's just a critique on this CG and VFX of the movie. You know, I still had yet to see The Flash and judge the writing, this, that, and the other. Now, for this, the reason why I wanted to start off by saying that is because in my opinion, with what I would say is some level of a trained eye, and that's not me being pretentious, I'm just saying, like, I notice this quite a lot, sometimes to the detriment of my viewing experience. I've seen a lot of people say that when the barrel roll happens and we have Superman going into the camera, and this may remind you of James Gunn's stylistic execution of how he portrayed Adam Warlock flying in the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 movie, a lot of people were saying, not everyone, but a lot, that this David Corenswet face is completely CGI. It's fake. It's kind of like what they did with The Flash, where, I don't know, I don't know, or it's just like a whole 3D CGI model. No, I really don't think that's the case. I am telling you, this isn't a CGI face. Like, this isn't a Play-Doh face. But does it have some things that still stand out to those people that maybe makes them think it's a CGI face? That's maybe what it is. The way they've done this shot, in my opinion, is that David Corenswet would have absolutely have been in the Superman suit. He would have been put on a rig, and they're blasting his face with wind, and, you know, they're doing that thing. David Corenswet, like, well, in this case, and that's another thing we're going to talk about, his posture is such that he's flying with his hands behind his back, and he's leaning into the camera. Again, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 style, Top Gun Maverick-esque influence. That's what a lot of people were saying, what Gunn meant by that. And, you know, he would have a screen behind him so they could composite the Arctic in the background, you know, just kind of have a screen and, like, have, like, the speed of Superman flying behind him on the screen. And Corenswet literally would be like this. Like, if you saw the behind the scenes with no audio, it'd be kind of funny, right? It'd just be like this. It's real. What I'm trying to get to, I know I keep going round in circles here, is that I want to, like, hammer the nail in the coffin that is a real face. Now, I think the issue some people are having, and I personally don't love it either, is, and there's a couple here, and we're going to go through it one by one. Just the execution of filming this scene in terms of the cinematography. What they went for in the framing. Like, how are we going to frame Superman flying up here? Are we going to be a bit further away? What lens are we going to use? Are we going to have him kind of, like, coming into the camera like Adam Warlock or like Black Adam? There's a lot of memes going around like that. Sometimes, just, you know, everyone's got different subjective preferences. They don't really like that framing. And here, if you didn't really like the framing of what, you know, Gunn did with Adam Warlock and the lens they would use there, that could make the face look a little bit weird. Or just, you know, again, like, being so close up and, like, having your face go into the camera like, you know, this. Maybe you want to be a bit more zoomed out, right? I can understand that. That's a criticism I can vibe with completely, because, like, yeah, you might not like that framing. You might have, like, maybe want a bit of a side profile, maybe a bit more zoomed out. Maybe, again, you might want his hands in a different position. Maybe, like, one in front. Maybe both in front. But to be fair, I think those criticisms should be paused for now, because he could be going like this, and then when he's about to, like, launch forward into a sonic boom, he could go like that. Do you know what I mean? That's just a separate thing as well. I think people, when I say are overreacting here, there's a massive overblown reaction of opinions here over such a short clip of what I'm sure is a larger overall flying sequence. But that doesn't invalidate you not liking this. I want to make that clear. You might not like these 3 to 4 seconds, but you might like the other angle like 5 seconds after this, and then the next 30 seconds after that. So that's what I mean. I think people are like quick to like just, you know, shiting on things. And I don't even think that this is, you know, shite upon worthy, if you're still with me here. So, okay, we've discussed like the framing. That's something I can respect if you don't like it. If you said that to me, hey, Boba, I don't like this for that reason, I get you. You know, maybe you would have preferred something else. But there is another thing. I would say the major thing that's throwing a lot of other people off, and that is just the face in general. So you may be like, well, Boba, if this isn't a CGI face, then why is David's face seeming slightly, like, strange to me? Well, this is where I posted on Twitter, and I asked for other people's opinions about this. And I liked the Bat in the Hats comment here, because as he says, yeah, I mean, the bottom line is that this is obviously not CGI. It's a combination of the shot composition and focal length. For whatever reason, Gunn likes to shoot these wide-angle close-ups, which can slightly distort someone's appearance and make them look goofy, hence the criticism. Oh, and what do you know? As I'm making this video, not that this negates other genuine criticism that people have, but James Gunn said, in response to this user saying, looks dope, great camera angle of Superman flying, except there's something with his face that looks a little off, as lots of people are saying. I know there's plenty of time to refine the CG. Gunn said what I've been saying this whole time. There is absolutely zero CG in his face. People's faces can look different when you put a wide-angle lens up close. The background plate in Svalbard is 100% real, as is David. Like, meaning the shots they got of the Arctic there, like probably shot by drone footage and stuff, that's all real on the background plate behind David as he's suspended in air going, you know, like that. Obviously, this is future Boba you're seeing at this point. I don't know how much I've rambled at this point, but yes, there is no CG on his face. There is no CG masked onto his face in an odd way, like many people have been saying, as I kind of talked about probably a moment ago, or past Boba spoke about, it was like the wide angle, the lens and what that might be doing. And yeah, maybe one eyelid is not as open as much as the other. But do I think that we're kind of pedantically obsessing over this to a certain degree? Yes. I didn't think it was that bad. But anyway, past Boba, back to whatever else I was saying. That is something I can agree with. So, again, not only the framing, but it's the type of lens. It's yeah, you might not like the preference of how they just executed him going like right up to the camera. And then it might result in something like this, where it seems a bit goofy. But there is another thing, and people are mentioning David Corenswet's eyes. This is another reason as to why people are calling it CGI, but that is not the case. And I feel like I know what this is. And to be honest, I don't think this is a big issue. But here, we all have, like, it's very common to have, and what we can assume here to be, you know, nobody has perfect symmetry. Have you ever had a photo? I mean, I know I've had plenty. You might not be able to tell now with my eyes, but there have been so many times where there's been a photo or a video of me or something where it looks like one eyelid is opening more than the other eyelid. And I remember wondering years ago, like, why do I have that? It's not a lazy eye. A lazy eye is when your pupil actually drifts off a little bit to varying degrees depending on how, you know, severe the lazy eye is. And your other eye might be, you know, calibrated correctly, if you will. But you could have two lazy eyes, of course. This isn't lazy eye. This is that situation of where I'm sure people can relate here. If you've ever seen a photo, maybe I'm showing examples from Google, where you have one eyelid like that's open, like just naturally, you're not doing anything different, like wider, and like to almost make your other eye open wide or the same as this eye, it feels like you'd have to like purposely push or like, open that eyelid a bit more. I don't know what that's medically called, but it could just be symmetry. But either way, like, this is how ridiculous this is to me personally. But I do see why people find it a bit jarring. People are like, so what's wrong with his face? There's nothing really wrong. It's just that one eye is like closed a bit more and the other eye is a bit wider. The eyelid is opening the eye a bit more. So I think in combination with the execution of the framing, the lens, the shot composition, and the focal length, like all of this can, yes, unfortunately, maybe make a bunch of people see that shot and think, nah, yeah, this looks weird to me. I wish maybe James Gunn shot or executed a scene of Superman flying a little bit different. And that's something I can respect, but the takes aren't usually that. A lot of people say this is absolute garbage. Like, I'm sorry, but if you say this is absolute gutter, like shit on the bottom of your shoe level garbage, I can't respect that. I know that's your opinion, but I don't think this is like, you know, what, maybe you're being hyperbolic, I don't know, but that's not the case. You may say, okay, I have this issue, this critique, and I can respect the way that's said. But this is where, you know, I've been witnessing online, they're not talking civilly about it. It gets into this pissing contest of showing, you know, a poster from Man of Steel versus a 240p potato quality shot of Corrin Sweat here. You know, like, what even is that? Because one thing I'll say that I'm apprehensive about coming out of this scene being released, even though I personally like it, I wouldn't say I'm worried, but I'm apprehensive that every scene, not every scene, but maybe James Gunn might rely mostly on what was first seen in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, you know, when we saw Adam Warlock flying. It was kind of cool to see it at first, but now it's like, I don't want this same lens and cinematography and framing used for Superman flying throughout Metropolis or wherever else he is in the world, in the sky, in the clouds. Is it always going to be like, you know, this? I'm sure it's not, because we saw the behind the cape thing, the point of view thing, and I dig that, because Matt Reeves felt like it was important to show the point of view feeling of, you know, feeling what it's like to be Pattinson's Bruce as he glided with his wingsuit. But I wouldn't want that, even as a massive Matt Reeves fan, every single time we possibly ever see Pattinson's Batman fly with his cape or his wingsuit. So I hope that Gunn doesn't rely on the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 framing or like this framing for every flight sequence. I'm sure he won't. But I am starting to vibe intuitively to me that he might use this a lot, and that might not be up to the preference of people seeing Superman fly. But let me know what you think of everything I rambled quite a bit about there. But now we need to go on some really intriguing stuff when it comes to Lanterns. A nice little Lanterns update here. One that I didn't actually see coming, but it's inspired me to maybe even do a whole separate video outside of this one, initially talking about it. And from Deadline here, we have Ulrich Thomsen to play DC supervillain Sinestro in HBO's Lanterns. So exclusive, Ulrich Thomsen has been tapped to recur, so it's a recurring role, and, you know, I've seen some great theories out there already. In HBO, WTF, oh my god, what's going on now? I started glitching out, I'm not AI. DC Studios series Lanterns, as we just basically said. They describe Sinestro, the former Green Lantern turned rogue, and is described as ruthless. Oh, okay, so there is a description. Maybe this is a series description. And is described as ruthless, yet undeniably charming. Sinestro's manipulative nature drives his enduring obsession with this former mentee, Hal Jordan. Sinestro, okay, cool. So maybe that, I mean, this stuff is always to be taken loosely. And what I mean by that is it can just be a rough character description that doesn't necessarily pertain too much to the plot. But that is interesting, because I asked you guys, okay, so what do you think Sinestro's role is in Lanterns? Because what we know about the series is that there is a murder in the American heartland, right? This brings Lantern legend, you know, especially given Carl Chandler's age. You know, he's 59, so he's been Hal for a while. And new rookie recruit, John Stewart, to investigate this together, right? Okay, cool. Two Lanterns going to a town that is run by Sheriff Kelly, of where she is basically, as we've heard from other reports, sussing out these community secrets. And there is a casting for another character who is a conspiracy-minded man, and as you guys may have heard from my other coverage, what if this is some weird culty-esque stuff? So, like, the fact we know this is inspired by True Detective, you know, you just think of True Detective, not just even season 1, but the vibe of this, American Heartland. You just see Woody Harrelson and Matthew McConaughey driving out to that murder, and you can, you know, it's a conspiracy-minded man. This town has community secrets that are emerging, and there is a love interest to Jon Stewart, who is actually the wife of the conspiracy-minded man. So as I said, I think she might be the one to spill the beans as to whatever her husband may be up to. Like, there's all kinds of creepy crap going on there that they're going to find out. Now, whether this pertains to the center, because there was a cult for the center, and that could, like, you know, really neatly line up with how the center can communicate psychically and things like that. Maybe there's some weird crap going on there. The whole Blackest Night thing is a lot more reachy. We've been over that because, you know, I would never expect all these DC heroes to become like living corpses and start flying around, but you could argue there could be a much more unwound version of that story about trying to release Necron from the Veil, and they do a much smaller version of it. But again, that's one I'm putting on the sub bench for now, because if you're going to do Blackest Night, do Blackest Night as a big event, not like this. Anyway, but it could be something else. Now, how does Sinestro fit into that whole plot synopsis I just kind of went over? Well, given that we're already at this point in the DCU where Kyle Chandler's Hal Jordan is, you know, clearly a Lantern legend. Obviously, the character age may not accurately be what his real life age is, which is 59. He could be late 40s, early 50s. But that would have meant a series of events with Sinestro would have already happened as well. Like, is he already imprisoned? Could they be doing some interesting parallels between the mentorship between Kyle Chandler's Hal Jordan and Aaron Pierre's John Stewart, to that of, obviously, Hal Jordan once upon a time being under that of Sinestro's teachings? I've got some great comments from you guys here. One from Farzad on Twitter saying, Damon Lindelof loves non-linear storytelling. I feel like his presence in the show will mostly be flashbacks or maybe even time jumps, showing off his mental relationship with Hal and showing some parallels between that and Hal and John's relationship. I think that would be really cool. Now, with this being an HBO pedigree series, True Detective, which had flash forwards in it, as well as like flashbacks and, you know, the present day storytelling, I can absolutely tell with that being an inspiration, and with, obviously, as a lot of you have pointed out, a lot of history being skipped here with Hal Jordan, that there definitely could be some, you know, insights into the past that somehow make that relevant to today. Yes, so whether that's just a parallel between Hal and John Stewart, and hey, what was I like with Sinestro, we can get into that, but there could also be some contextual things that are important to the plot that involve Sinestro well into the past. The example is such that that's actually, and I really like storytelling like this, you don't only have the present day mystery happening, but you also have missing context from the past that you're also wanting reveals about. Like, what happened between Hal and whoever that led him to be where he is today? Maybe a bit more disgruntled, etc., etc. Maybe we learn that drip-fed to us throughout the episodes, on top of, like, the intrigue of whatever the heck's going on with this murder in the American heartland. We could also get these flashbacks, some history, True Detective style again here, where we also are excited to learn revelations about the past, which make the present day's, view on Hal make a lot more sense. Because, you know, Hal might be, when John Stewart might ask, or various other situations that arise, might be quite distant from that subject, or he slowly but surely gets into it, and I don't know, I'm kind of saying the same thing at this point, but there is another cool idea that I keep seeing pop up again and again from Stephen Kent is saying, I wonder if he'll play a bit of a Hannibal Lecter type role where he's in prison and they go to him for advice on certain things. I think that would be super cool as well. And it, you know, both can work. So they could do like the flashback stuff. They could do parallels to, you know, the new mentorship with Hal Jordan and John Stewart. But they can also get into the revelations of things in the past that happened with Hal that we want to learn about that still involve Sinestro. But also all of this on top of, hey, let's go see Sinestro in present day. Kind of like how, you know, Pattinson's Batman went to the Joker. You know, he had some history with the Joker in the past to put him in Arkham. We never saw that because the Batman picks up 1 year, 6 months into his career already. But he went to him to help profile the Riddler. Maybe there's a similar thing here with, obviously, with this far into the DCU for some characters. Again, Hal being older, Sinestro being a bit older. Imagine what kind of rich lore and knowledge that they've already, you know, been through events that they may feel compelled to go to Hal's once mentor to kind of get their opinion on something, even if it's so reluctantly so. And in a scene like that, you could have Sinestro, you know, torment Hal, like maybe mock him, maybe bring up something to us, the audience, in present day that is a reference to the past where we're like, wait, what? What's that? Are we going to learn about that in episode 5, maybe? I don't know. There's a lot of potential here that makes me very excited because I know a lot of people are apprehensive with how they're doing Lanterns, the stage we're already at with certain characters, obviously, namely Hal's age. But once you accept that, you can maybe start to see the potential of what we can do with that now in the ways of executing the storytelling across these 8 episodes. And that really gears me up to get quite excited. Again, I really might be off there, but I think, you know, we've got some good ideas that we're working with here. I'm very happy about the casting as well. You know, this series is piping up to be something that, of course, we need proof of concept for, but at least on paper, as I've said before, and I'll say it again, my most anticipated DCU project so far, outside of like the immediate Superman that's just around the corner. But to kind of hype you guys up even more before we go on to the final story of today's video, we have here from Collider an interview with one of the cast members of Lanterns talking about, you know, shooting very, very soon. So Stephen Weintraub caught up with Porna Jagannathan. I probably butchered that at Sundance. So when asked about the project, Jagannathan didn't hold back. This is the first script that I've read that I understand why there's an NDA, she said. Everything is so insane. It is the best writing that I have ever read. Strong words for a series still in pre-production, but Jagannathan went on to explain how the script makes a traditionally dense genre feel accessible. I don't know anything about sci-fi, she says, and I don't care, actually. But this script makes sci-fi seem like my world. It makes it so accessible to me. I understand everything about this world, even though I don't understand this world. So it's the best sci-fi script I've ever read. And as far as when production gets underway, Jagannathan revealed we start Tuesday. We start camera testing Tuesday. Okay, so it's really exciting to hear that how excited she is about it. I like how she describes the accessibility there. Like, she knows nothing about sci-fi, but through reading this script that she thinks the best script she's ever read. Of course, some people are going to say, of course she would say that, but it feels like her world. This, I think, calls back to what a lot of people were saying and what they were apprehensive about, and how when they first heard how kind of grounded Lanterns would be, even though it's in this fantastical DC universe. So, you know, of course, just because grounded doesn't mean like black and white one thing like lots of people tend to think it does. You're still going to have Green Lantern rings and stuff like that. You still have a Crypto the Superdog flying around on the same world as Carl Chandler's Hal Jordan in this series. But they're taking the True Detective, again, HBO level quality to this show and murder mystery, overall mystery vibe to it. Yet, the reason why I say it links to this is because I think it all comes together with the way she describes that it makes her feel like sci-fi is her world. She doesn't know anything about sci-fi nor really care about it normally, but the way that they've written this and what we know about it in addition to what she's saying here, with the True Detective inspirations, the synopsis of the plot, the community secrets, the conspiracy-minded man, the murder in the American heartland, the ancient terrifying mystery and horror that they've described about what they uncover, I think it will really blend those people who, you know, will tune into HBO at the time and be like, well, I don't want to watch a bloody sci-fi power ring kind of show. But hey, maybe I've watched True Detective Season 1, Season 3, and stuff like that. And then they'll watch this, and it will merge both worlds of the general audience who like watching HBO shows like that, True Detective, with a show that actually has Green Lanterns in it. I probably actually articulated that quite poorly there, but I do hope that I got some semblance of what I'm trying to explain. So let me know your thoughts on that. I would like to talk about this more, get into some more theories, but I think I'm going to do that in a separate video. But lastly, something I haven't actually spoken about yet, but it felt like I did. But that's because I spoke about this in a live stream. So I'm going to really just echo some thoughts that I went over in that long stream that I did. But we got an official Supergirl in production image from James Gunn, with him saying, "Thrilled to see cameras roll at Warner Brothers Studios leaves in on Supergirl. God, I just want to go up there myself because I could literally do that, but that's kind of creepy. With Craig Gillespie at the helm and the phenomenal Millie Alcock as R. Kara Zor-El. Craig brings an incredible sensibility to this story, and Millie is every inch the unique Supergirl envisioned by Tom King." Now, you may think when you look at this image, is there really much to talk about there? Well, there's a couple of things, believe it or not. So, the location, yes, I know it's out of focus, but it's highly likely the bar scene after, you know, in issue 2, I believe it was, when they go to this kind of more, you know, alien location, cyberpunky location bar, and you're probably seeing screenshots right now, and I think it is that kind of place. You can see stools there in front of Millie Alcock. Some people are thinking that this could have been the bar scene initially in that more like village bar looking location in the comic, where she actually first meets Ruthie and gets into a bit of a fight with that guy. But I really don't think that's the case. And people were thinking, could this be the clothes that she's wearing in that shot? I don't think that's the case either. I think this is just Millie Alcock wearing her own hoodie and jacket. Of course, it's possible, though. Again, adaptations don't copy and paste. Even though in the alien bar scene on that kind of like shuttle spaceship that they're on at that point in the comic, she's wearing her Supergirl suit. Well, she could be wearing the Supergirl suit under clothes like that as well in the actual movie compared to the comic, because some people do raise good points in how in the comic book Kara actually gets people coming up to her being like, well, your cousin's Superman, like you kind of put my two like brothers or cousins away, I've got a bone to pick with you kind of thing. And people have raised really good points in how, with David Corenswet's Superman, not being like a super veteran, but not being an origin, kind of, again, like Matt Reeves as the Batman, is it so believable, and I might do a whole separate video on this as well, that he would be kind of galactically known at this point? Again, to the point of where, if Kara's going around with the crest in other kind of sociable alien places, that they would have a bone to pick with her because of what Superman may have done to their alien cousin who caused some trouble on Earth. Or maybe if Superman flew out of Earth sometime. That's something that they don't have to adapt from the comic, but it is a really good point that I saw someone make, and it made me think, yeah, like, I don't know, but intuitively to me, again, this is a fantastical DC universe, so who knows what David Corenswet's Clark/Superman has been up to. However, intuitively to me, I don't know if he's quite become as renowned as that. I feel like it's more Earth-based, and if anything, you know, he's still, I know he's been regarded as Metropolis's favorite hero, but I don't know. I know I just tangented there, but it's a really good point, because this bar scene is when one of those moments happen, if I remember correctly, because of the symbol that she's walking around with. Either way, very, very confident at what point in the story they're filming here. However, let's talk about the Supergirl symbol finally. I do believe that this will be the symbol she has in the movie, as in the color scheme as well. First of all, I've been asked for a long time, and this isn't a hate to say I told you so moment, but genuinely, people have said, hey, Boba, do you think the Kingdom Come symbol will still be maintained for Millie Alcock's Supergirl? I said yes, because my reasoning for that is, other than a color change you might do at most, if you have a family coat of arms, I think it would kind of borderline be disrespectful if you completely, like, you know, I think it would be argued bastardized it through manipulating and changing the design, like, completely, right? You wouldn't really do that. You would have your crest or, like, your coat of arms slapped on you, and maybe, at most, with the difference between Kara and Superman, you might change the color a bit, but the actual design of your emblem, you can't really change that because that is the family's emblem. Of course, you may disagree with me there, but that's at least where I stand on it. You shouldn't really drastically change the design. So I've always been in the camp that, yes, she will have David Corenswet's Kingdom Come logo style. Now, the colors is where I thought, and as I've said before, things could maybe be changed. And here, they are different. In the comics, she has the yellow and red, just like David Corenswet's Superman. But here, it seems that, and some people thought that this was the Kingdom Come black and red colors. No, that is actually blue underneath the red S. So I would probably say that's the blue undersuit to the red S. Kind of like if you've seen the CW Supergirl, that kind of color scheme. Now, of course, some of you have said to me, Boba, this is just a chair. Okay, look, you're right. It doesn't mean that will be her logo in the movie, but I'm still thinking it will be, because every single time, other than one case, when we saw the name cards of the Superman logo that Isabella Merced and the others accidentally gave away the logo itself in the table read, the first table read they did, that was like a silvery black and white version. Every other time during production that we saw the Superman logo for James Gunn's movie, yes, even on set chairs just like this, the colors were yellow and red, the ones that matched his Superman suit. What are we seeing here? We're seeing a blue and red symbol on a chair on the Supergirl set. And again, I might be wrong about this, but I think, personally, that, you know, it's a similar thing. They're going to use this logo on set in other areas, and it will be the one that matches up to Kara's, Millie Alcock's Supergirl suit, where to add a little bit of a difference, even though it's not, you know, copy and pasting from the comics, they're going to just give her a red S and she's going to have the blue undertone of the suit everywhere else. Could be wrong. Again, I know I keep saying it, but there's my circumstantial evidence for you as to why I think this will still be Kara's color scheme of the crest on her suit. But let me know if you disagree. There's not too much else to say here, but if you have anything else to say or anything bonus that I may have forgot to mention, please let me know down in the comments below, alongside your thoughts on everything else in this video. If you got this far, I would really appreciate a like. Of course, it just helps this video get out there a bit more. Consider subscribing for more videos, just like this. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, just thank you so much for your support. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you people of the DCU in the next video. Goodbye.